All right, good afternoon. My name is Jason Fife with the Rochester Fire Department, and I was asked to participate in this wonderful opportunity to talk to you guys about uh, some of the things that the fire department sees. So we're going to run through some stuff. I do have at the end of almost at the end, I have a program that the Rochester Fire Department has. It's only for the people who live in the city of Rochester. So I do apologize if you live outside of the area, but it's a great opportunity for those that live in the city. So, any questions so far?
I just walked in, but is that, do you do that like for group homes?
Anybody that lives that works or manages a group home, they can participate in that. And we'll get into Community Connect and into greater detail, and I'll pull up examples, one of our fire stations. So perfect. All right. So topics today I'd like to talk about. And I won't go the whole hour unless there's a lot of questions, and I hope there are because I love answering questions. I don't like just forcing information down people's throats. So assisting the first responders, and first responders can be anywhere from police, fire to EMS, so the ambulance. I want to dive deep into practicing home escape drills and plans, especially if anybody has problems with loud noises. There are some other products on the market that others, I'm going to briefly talk about it, but bed shakers and whatnot. So that way we're not scaring people so much that when the alarm goes off that they lock up and they can't even walk out the door past an alarm. Smoke alarms, they're important. So we're going to dive deep into smoke alarms and others, carbon monoxide alarms as well. And then we'll get into Community Connect, and at any time we'll do questions, but if anybody has questions at the end. So interacting with first responders. We don't see our patients every day. We're not interacting with them. So when somebody calls 911 because something has changed, this may be the first time crews rotate where I'm an assistant fire marshal, so I don't go on as many calls unless I'm right around the street or right around the corner when I'm testing a fire alarm at a building. But I do more building inspections. I test buildings. I walk through buildings, make sure they're safe. So the crews who are actually on for 24 hours a day, they're there 24 hours, then they're off for a day, and then they come back. Or they could work a 48 and then they're off for 4 days. So we don't always see the same people, and you won't see us. You may see us if you call often, but we don't get to see the outcome on patients either. So it's kind of frustrating on our end as well. But so the most important thing, anytime you deal with the local city officers, either here in Rochester or if you live in other cities, Byron, you'll get the sheriff's office in Byron, Dodge Center, or Dodge County, you get the sheriff's office. Casson has their own police department, so that type of deal. In and around the rest of Olmsted County, I don't think anybody has local police. It's all sheriff's office outside of city of Rochester. So you're going to see a different deputy or a different police officer potentially as well. Firefighters will respond. We are trained either EMTs or EMRs, or first responders is the designation. And then depending on who your ambulance service is, if it's MCAS or Mayo Clinic Ambulance Service, or if it's a private such as Dodge Center Ambulance Service, that covers that Casson, Dodge Center, Claremont, Hayfield Ambulance Service. So anyhow, we rely on the family members and the caregivers to really tell us what's going on. We need that interaction with them. We're not going to just blow you off. If it looks like we're not paying attention, we are. There could be 2 or 3 of us. One of us will be interacting or possibly just attentively listening, trying to get as much detail. Because obviously as family members and caregivers, you're there with that patient, in this case, that patient or that child or that adult, we need to know what's different. Because I could be seeing them for the first time. What's different? Why am I here? I'm not trying to be rude or anything. What's changed? I need that information. Obviously, if they're injured from trauma that they fell down a flight of stairs, I can see that. But if it's a medically related problem, what has changed? If it's severe abdominal pain and they're pulling their protecting their stomach, I can see that. But if it's something minor, what's changed? What's changed from the normal? And I rely on that. Having a current medication list, if anybody's on a lot of medications, having that current list, that's huge for us. Having that the allergies, are they allergic to medications? It's important, if they're allergic to seafood and they've eaten seafood, that would cause a problem. So we want to know that, but it's the most important stuff are the medications. History. That history. The most important is what they've been seen for lately. Do I want to know about that appendix that was removed 20 years ago? Absolutely. But that is not going to be a significant issue that I'm going to be dealing, that the appendix is out. It shouldn't be an issue anymore, but it's important, but I want to know more current stuff. Okay. How the patient's going to interact with us. I will always try. So if my patient's here in the front row, I want to look to them, and even if they're nonverbal, they won't respond, I'm still going to ask them questions, because as soon as I stop interacting with them, then we're not treating them like a human being, and that's not right. So even if they're not going to, if I have a 3-year-old, I want to ask that 3-year-old what's going on, what you were doing. If they need to turn to mom or dad and say, right, and answer the question that way, I'm fine with that. As long as things aren't going horribly wrong and we have time, we'll continue to do that. We definitely try not just to look up to the caregiver and ignore the patient, because the patient is important. So I always want to see that. So medications, again, what medications? I'm not implying that you're lying to me or the caregiver or anybody's lying, but the way I phrase my question is, what medications are you taking, and what medications are you supposed to be taking? We know at times, especially for our elderly, money's tight. But if you're Social Security, your check only goes so far. Maybe you're not filling some medications because you need to pay for heat or something like that. So, or you're trying to wean yourself off medication without the doctors knowing what's going on. So, don't take offense to that, because we know there's times, well, I don't like that one because it makes me dizzy. Okay, but they assigned you that medication for a reason. It's not just a money grab. You should have a discussion with that doctor and let them know. And maybe there's a different medication or a lower dose. Okay, so, all right. What's changed? If we're there for what's changed? Why am I here? And I'm trying to phrase that in a nice way, but why'd you call us? And what changed in the last 12 hours or 24 hours? What's changed that you called 911? Or did you get orders that said you need to come in through the doctor, through the online portal or something like that the doctor wants to see you? And that's fine. We just need to know what's changed. Let's see. There we go. All right. So any questions? I do have my chat. I did have my chat open. So if anybody.
Well, because you're sharing from your screen, like you might not show you, but I can see the chat.
Oh, no, okay. If anybody has questions, please online, if you want to add in the chat box, that'd be great. Any questions here before I change topics? No? Okay. All right. So no questions here. So home escape plans. So Obviously, I'm with the fire department. I do fire investigations. We determine the cause or try to determine the cause. Sometimes it's very difficult to determine the cause of fires. Sometimes it's very easy. It's nothing like TV. So, can I find a source of a ignition? Yeah, but I might not pin it down to the exact circuit that broke if in the appliance or in the electrical outlet. So it's not Hollywood. If we try very hard and then we get to a point and then we turn it over to the privates and let them go, and then I can dive into this a lot longer, and I'm not going to do that. So what I do want to talk about though is at the time of an emergency, trying to solve the plan on who's going to go get the infants or the children when the smoke alarm's going off. That's usually not a good time to come up with that plan, or the dogs, the cats. We want everybody out of the house. So the earlier you come up with your home escape plan and practice it, when that smoke alarm does go off at 2 o'clock in the morning, they always go off at 2 o'clock in the morning for some reason, or when I'm cooking. So that's just what happens. So, so having that plan in place way before that time, that's the important thing. So when I talk about a home escape plan, you can download them. You can go to nfpa.org and do home escape plan. You can download one, NFPA, it's the National Fire Protection Association. So N as in Nancy, A as in Adam, F as in Frank, and then P as in Paul.org. That has great resources, multiple languages as well. So if you have a Spanish speaking or Hmong speaking or something like that, they come in multiple different languages. It's great. It's a great resource. You can download the sheet and you can draw on that as a family or if it's a group home, I'm going to call it a community. Okay. So you get together and you draw out the layout of the house. Okay. You mark both exits. Everybody's got a door from their bedroom. Everybody should have a window for their bedroom. Obviously, we always want to use the door first because windows hurt, especially if you're on the second or third story. We don't want anybody jumping out the window. That's not what so we will start drawing out the plan, and then you need a meeting place. So if the smoke alarm does go off, or the fire alarm, if you're in a building that has a fire alarm, the fire alarm activates, you go out and we talk about, that's why I skipped a slide. That's why. I was wondering where that was. Where a good meeting place is. Could be the big tree in the front yard, could be a fire hydrant. It could be the neighbor's house. If you pick a place, everybody needs to know where that is. So if you have family guests over in your house, grandkids staying over or neighbor kids staying over, friends, whatever, everybody should know where that meeting place is. So if the smoke alarm goes off, we get out of the house, we're going to go through this way. We go through the door, the closest door. I know when I was growing up, I had my favorite door. We always went out the garage because then we picked up our bikes or tennis ball or basketballs, footballs, whatever, go through the garage. But if you're passing the front door and you can get outside that much faster instead of winding around in through the garage door or the back door or whatever you call it, you want to get out as quickly as possible. And the reason for that is current furniture, not like the 70s and the 60s when furniture was made from wool and cotton, that real fibers that didn't burn as hot and the smoke wasn't as toxic. We had more time. We had 7 to 11 minutes to get out of the house. Now we're down to 3 to 5 minutes. The smoke is so toxic. It's not the fire. It's not the fire from the flames or the heat from the flames. It's the heat from the smoke and the toxicity of the smoke that's killing our fire victims. Okay. So we monitor for 3 of the most toxic gases in smoke, but there's a laundry list of other products in that smoke that could kill us later. in life. So firefighters, there's roughly 100 firefighters that die every year in the United States. Smoke inhalation, cancer are up there, but actually heart attacks and other things and motor vehicle accidents are the leading cause of those, but it's not far behind for smoke inhalation and cancer deaths later after we retire, or sometimes not even making it to retirement. So the smoke is toxic, so we want to get out of there as so early as possible. So let me back up for a minute. Smoke alarms. Smoke alarms are very important. That's what's going to give you your early notification that there's an issue. So having working smoke alarms to smell that smoke, especially in if cooking kitchen or electrical fires or smoking, those kind of things. Candles are a lot fires because people leave candles burning and then they burn down and the wax is very ignitable. So those things. So no matter whoever's there, make sure they know where those meeting places are. The big tree in the front yard, again, the neighbor's house, the mailbox, the fire hydrant in the front yard. Assignments. So if mom and dad are in the house, where you go get Junior or the baby, and who's going to call 911. So start assigning jobs, because you might forget your cell phone. And if you go outside to your meeting place, how are you going to call 911? How are we going to get the fire department there? So if you're lucky enough to live in a building that has a full-blown fire alarm system and a sprinkler system, we're going to get the notification, but getting those phone calls to let us know that there's an actual fire so we can send the appropriate response. For alarm calls, we only send a couple trucks to a call, but for a structure fire, we send 6 engines or 6 apparatus. So we're doubling or tripling our manpower, personnel power to fight that fire. So the sooner we know there's an actual fire, we need to start more units to help to accomplish all the jobs we need to do. So having a plan early, I strongly suggest everybody has a plan and then start practicing it. So, yes.
Or has your department maybe facilitated creating plans for autism kids who are I don't want to say high behavior, but like low compliance kids? Like, how do you go about making a plan? Like, I'm afraid, honestly, to teach my son to dial 911 because I feel like he might just call them whenever he feels like he wants to see a fire truck. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, like, how do you teach them things like that?
So I'm going to paraphrase that question. So the question is, has the fire department ever helped develop a plan for kids with autism or low compliant? So yeah, so we're apprehensive. We go into for the last 30 years, we've always gone into second grade classrooms because we figure out that second grade, that 7, 8-ish, that they're going to take the information and actually understand the information as best as possible. We do see a spike of false 911 calls, but it's one of those things. Somebody calls, it always happens. Somebody calls 911, hangs up, dispatch, the 911 dispatchers will call back and usually say, oh, if somebody young picks up the phone, can we talk to mom or dad or an adult there and verify there's not a problem? It's not a big deal. If it's a child, they'll always want to try to get back to that adult to verify that there is a problem. But if we get started and it turns out there's not a fire, but then when the first officer arrives and says it's not an issue, we'll cancel the trucks type deal and things like that. So we would help if they came to if people were at the station, we would help it. We kind of let you guys, we can interact and try to answer questions over the phone, but that's a hard question to answer because
it is, because I just wish that is there a way for example, the police department, the fire department to just label this address as if kids on the spectrum, you just know there's a way to react differently.
yes, and
Okay.
that is at the end. So
Okay.
that so the question was, can the fire department or the police department label houses with a child with autism or something else? It could be anything. So our Community Connect program will talk about that. So that you get to control that. So you get to update that. So we can do that. So, I'm sorry, I don't know where. No, that's okay. Oh, okay. So the plan, so nfpa.org. Again, great resources. There's some great cartoons that and they got not Fire Pup, sorry, Sparky the fire dog. Sorry. It's been a day. Sorry. Sparky the fire pup, he goes through some scenarios, so they walk you through. They got some great interactive things on there. Again, multiple languages, so we can really reach out and cover multiple languages, which is great. So, all right, so home escape plan. So you print that out, or have just a 8x11 or 8x11 blank sheet of paper and just draw your house floor plan. You don't have to do the roof and all that, but you draw out your floor plan. So the bedrooms, the hallway, mark your smoke alarms. So any house built after mid-90s, there are code changes that there has to be one smoke alarm in each bedroom and one smoke alarm in the hallway within 10 feet of the bedrooms. And then that's the bulk of them. So if you have 3 bedrooms down the hallway, you're going to have 3 smoke alarms, 1 in each bedroom plus 1 in the hallway. So you're actually going to have 4 smoke alarms. Okay. Then you need 1 on each level. So there should be a minimum 1 in the basement. If there's no bedrooms in the basement, it's just the 1. And then 1 on the main floor besides the 1 by the hallway. But we want to keep that away from bathrooms. Steam from the showers, when you open the door, the steam from the showers can trip the alarm. And we want to keep it out of the kitchen. We want to keep it down the hall from the kitchen in case I'm cooking. Exactly. In case I'm cooking. No, that's my timer. Okay. It's a bad timer to have. And then 1 up, and then if you have a second story, again, bedrooms typically are on the second story, or if we have multiple levels, they should be there. So
if you are cooking and you do have an alarm and you have someone with special needs and you set up the alarm, go for it. They can practice for it because I have a girl that worked and did speed, and my staff set up an alarm and she came upstairs. We're like, oh, it's okay, go back downstairs. And I was like, you mean like, yeah, she's not, how's she ever gonna, she doesn't communicate well. How she came up. You don't have to find the lights up. She came up, she has the lights. But she came up because she saw the lights and that's how I trained her. But like, oh, it's fine, go back downstairs. Why is she react to the lights again?
Sure.
Always just making a drill if it happens.
Right. So
I'm a good cook, that only happens. And I wasn't the one cooking. So.
The discussion is if it's a false alarm. In this scenario, somebody is deaf and unable to speak, so the alarm went off, the strobe went off for that individual, and they came upstairs to evacuate the building because that's what they're been told to do and trained to do. But the staff said it was a false alarm. Go ahead and ignore it. It's a perfect point. Any accidental trip, treat it as a true alarm. That way, because after, we tell people, if you hear the smoke alarm, get out. And then they look at their parents, oh, it's a false alarm. No, we're breaking the habit. We want people to get out of the house. We want them, even if it is a false alarm, that's fine. Get into that habit to making sure you save yourself, because again, the time, it moves so fast. So real quick, I kind of glanced over it. So back in the 60s and 70s, I said you had 7 to 11 minutes to get out because furniture is made out of cotton and wool. Now the foam in the chairs, your recliner, your comfortable recliner, I got a great recliner. It's made out of oils, like petroleum products. The foam is a petroleum-based expandable foam. So when that ignites, they do put a fire retardant in there. So it's not, I can't just drop a match on it and it'll ignite. It takes some time. But safe cigarettes, that was the biggest thing, that they put these little things in. So anybody that smokes in their house, the cigarette, you have to draw past that point in order to keep it ignited. Lit. So if you just let it idle or smolder, it's supposed to put itself out. Doesn't work. We're seeing a significant, this year alone, I think I did 7 or 8 structure fires that were smoking related, improperly disposed of cigarettes. And including burning down neighbors or starting the neighbor's house on fire were 2 of them. So this is a significant issue. So if you smoke in your house, have proper ashtrays. Don't use your pop cans, beer bottles or bottles. I'm sorry, I'm assuming a beer bottle. The label was peeled off. Don't ignite or extinguish your cigarette in potting soil. Potting soil has peat moss in it. Peat moss is very flammable. Don't extinguish your cigarette in your garbage can, your plastic cart garbage can. That is just a ton of fuel waiting to ignite. So proper sand-based or water-based products that hold sand or water, ashtrays that, and I say soak them. Put them in a ice cream pail. Go buy yourself a gallon of ice cream and enjoy it, and then put water in that and use that to extinguish your cigarettes. Okay. So better yet, if you don't smoke, that's even. Okay. Okay. There we go. I'm off my soapbox. But we saw a huge increase this year on improperly disposed of cigarettes. So, but so when that cushion, so if the cigarette, you fall asleep, cigarette falls into the cushions, now that heat radiates, it bounces off of that fabric or leather, and it just keeps going and going and starts breaking that product down and starts igniting. And then that oil-based expandable foam ignites once it's reached its temperature, and then it bounces. Fire in an open room, if I lit a fire in the middle of this conference room, it won't go anywhere. The carpet is designed, it has a fire protection, but in a corner where it bounces off the walls, it feeds itself, it starts heating up the product next to it, and that's the next thing to ignite, and then we get flames rise. Curtains are very flammable. Again, that foam. So as soon as that foam starts in the couch or recliner, it off gases some really toxic smoke, and it's hot. So it raises to the ceiling. It goes across the ceiling until it reaches cool air, or it reaches a point, and it just starts building on itself. It's unburnt fuel. It's just looking for that flame to reach a certain temperature to reignite that unburnt fuel, and then we get flashover. So that is where everything in the room is off-gassing flammable gas waiting to ignite, and everything ignites at one temperature. Firefighters in turnout gear cannot survive flashover. So if we wear that gear that protects us to 1600 degrees, and that can kill us, what would it do to a person not wearing that? You know, nobody has a chance. But it's the smoke, it's high levels of carbon monoxide, low levels of oxygen. So you're going to be unconscious laying on the floor because the fire is consuming all your oxygen in that house or that building. Okay. Not trying to scare anybody, but I'm just being honest. So as soon as that smoke alarm goes off, get out. Let the fire department, where we bring our own air tanks in, we breathe our own air, we have clothing that protects us to a certain temperature. Let us go figure out if it's a false alarm or not. That's our job. We won't yell at you ever if doing that. Even 2 o'clock in the morning, we're there. We'd much rather you be safe. Okay. So that's a little bit about smoke. So you want to stay low. So if you open your door, we can get into more things. There's close before you doze. There's a great video on close before you doze. That's by UL. They do a side-by-side comparison. So the wall of the house actually comes down, and they light a fire in the living room, and the smoke travels through in a bedroom door that's open. it has massive smoke and heat damage, and the bedroom door that's closed from that outside or from that hallway fire. The room doesn't reach temperature, doesn't even get over 100 degrees. Oxygen levels stay high, and survivability is amazing. So sleeping with your bedroom door closed. Okay. I know that's difficult with kids sometimes until they become teenagers, and then you never see them. I got 4. Their bedroom doors are always closed. So anyhow, sorry, sidetrack. There's multiple things. If you have questions, call your local fire department. They'll be more than happy to overwhelm you with all these wonderful things that are out there. Smoke alarms in the bedrooms, 1990. So if you live in an older house, make sure minimum 1 on each level, ideally, and interconnected. So when one goes off, they all go off. And when I say go off, I mean the temporal 3, the 3 beeps, and then it pauses, and then the 3 beeps. We all know that chirp at 2 a.m. The chirp is a maintenance thing. So that when you hear a chirp and you have to figure out which detector it is or alarm it is, because they're interconnected. So when one chirps, so that's a low battery or a maintenance problem that the detector is going bad. Okay. And we should be changing out these detectors / alarm. When I say I'm interchanging the term, I should stick to alarm. So I apologize. When your smoke alarm chirps, you should replace them every 10 years. The batteries, if they're maintenance free 10-year batteries, they have new ones, so you don't even have to mess with them. They'll last close to 10 years. It makes life a whole lot easier, and they can be interconnected. So when one goes off in the basement, you're getting alerted upstairs so you can get out of the house. Or go look, okay, there's no smoke in the hallway. It's safe to exit, go out to my door. Maybe I'll stop and look to see if there is any issue, or if I hear crackling or feel high heat, and then I can get out of the house. Okay.
You change up the battery, it's been about 10 years, and don't realize a decade is not violated. Will it just keep beeping after you replace the battery, but that's what maintenance issue is after? So
they are maintenance free. So you take the alarm down, throw it away, put a new one up. So on the ones that aren't 10-year, the battery, you can't even open the battery door to change it. They seal those closed.
For that reason.
Yep. So the ones that aren't 10-year maintenance free, we ask that anytime you change, and the problem, so anytime we change the clock, so spring, fall, roll back and ahead, problem is that's going to go away someday soon. So if you change your batteries once a year, I want you to change them twice a year. Obviously that's the best. So you always have fresh batteries in your alarm, but realistically, if I get compliance to once a year, I'm doing really well. I know life is busy, things happen, 6 months flies by. Changing the furnace filter. I just did it. No, that was a year ago. Oops. So okay. So we realized that. So I got called to a couple that's elderly, and they couldn't get on a ladder, so we helped them. He replaced the smoke alarm. He thought he needed a new one. It was actually the carbon monoxide detector right below so here I'm up there on the ladder changing the battery, and I have the battery out getting ready, and it's still chirping. I'm like, this cannot, I don't have it plugged into power. There's no way. And then I look down and go, there's our culprit. And he goes, they both sound the same. It's the same chirp. So if you think you found it, make sure it's not another device in that room, a carbon monoxide detector or something along those lines. So it threw me for a loop. It took me a couple minutes to figure it out too, because I'm sitting here going, it's not connected to power. There's no way this can be chirping. So anyhow.
Fire.
Yes.
That I just started at this new routine, and I did it overnight. My first up 2 a.m. on the right exactly 2 a.m. Fire. I'm like running through the house, there's nothing.
So the sensor can get plugged, dust can block it. So there are some things you can take. So the question was, They're the great new alarms. They have a temporal 3, so it'll beep 3 times and then there's a pause, but then it'll also say fire, fire, or it could be a combination. It was fire CO. So those, it'll tell you what it's alarming. So the chamber that sensor, that there's a beam, could be a laser beam, or it could be a couple other things in there. And that chamber can get dirty, dust can build up in it. So if there's a couple things you can take it, blow it out with compressed air. Make sure you don't freeze anything, because those cans, if you flip them over, the cans will blow out cold liquid and it could freeze it and damage it. So dust, vacuuming can help as well. So just take a look at the manufacturer recommendations on the back, or go to their website and get more information on there. But yeah, I have one. I'm in an older house, so my interconnected. I have one. They're fairly expensive, but they build their own network. So it doesn't take the Wi-Fi. So I don't have to have Wi-Fi on the house. It builds its own network. And I have one of those that keep doing it. So I got to figure that out. So I still have issues, and go figure, the supposedly expert has issues. You know, it's just one of those things. So the smoke alarm activates, make sure before you open the door, if it's hot, or open it a little bit when you talk to the kids or talk to your, the occupants of the house. Don't just run into the hallway thinking it's nothing. Take small steps, to make sure that you're not putting yourself in danger. Because if that bedroom door, even a hollow core door, the thinnest material, that you're like this, there's nothing to this door there, that will provide minutes protection. Okay, a solid core door will protect you a lot longer, the higher quality doors. But even a hollow core thin door provides protection. There's air in there. Air is insulation. Air is good. So in our gear, anytime we compress our gear, our air pack straps push down on our shoulders, we get burnt on our shoulders. So we want air in our firefighting gear that protects us. That's what's keeping us from getting excessively hot. So having that escape plan, so I know I'm going to go, my primary door will be the front door, because that's the closest door, or the back door, whatever. That way is blocked with smoke. I'm going to stay low. I might have to go back, stay next to the window. We don't have to use doors. We walk around the house. We assess the entire house. We look for gas meters, shut gas meters off as well to reduce the risk. But we look for things. So if I see somebody standing next to a window, or I see people waving, I don't, then we can ladder that window and go in. We don't have to come in through the front door and up the stairs and all this. We can go right through the window. So I will always say, stay next to the window. That's where fresh air is. Hopefully you're the farthest point away from the door, because most windows are on the opposite side of the door. So it gives you protection. Maybe you need to put something, maybe the mattress, or not the mattress, I'm sorry, the blanket from the bed, or the top cover, bedspread, or yeah, whatever. Stuff that underneath the door to block it, so smoke and heat doesn't come up through the crack. It takes a long time. The sheetrock around the door frame, there's holes. Some smoke will come through there, but the sheetrock and the door do a really good job. Okay. You don't panic yet. Okay. Get on the phone, tell them you're trapped in the house, where in the house you are. If there's a cell phone, or a way to communicate, open the window. When you see the firefighters, we make a lot of noise. We will walk all the way around the house and set up. So watch for us in the backyard, or on the side yard, front yard. We'll be looking for you. So, yes.
You mentioned that there's different smoke alarms with signals or whatever. Where do you find them?
So the question is, smoke alarms with different sounds that come from. So the older temporal 3, where it just goes and then pause. Well, not that fast, but basically that's old technology. Now they have done so many studies on that tone will not wake sleeping people. So we're changing the frequencies. So really it comes down to, when you go to replace your smoke alarms in your house or wherever you are, just look at what's on display, go to the manufacturer, so if you're gonna go to Menards and buy whatever, go there and see what they're selling, and then go to that manufacturer's webpage to see what the alarm sounds like and does.
You can get it on its cost, I got many Costco.
And they make the blanket. Because there is an autistic boy that has been brought into my life recently. If they don't like the noise, do you recommend
Absolutely.
flashing?
Yes, or bed shakers. So,
bed shaker?
yep. So work with your resource. Sorry, go ahead. Oh, work with your resource people, either county health or occupational health, or those types of resources. They doctors can write scripts. The VA has a great program, the VA doc. If so, military people who are hard of hearing after going to war, they have their own. They get bed shakers, strobe lights. So I've helped a couple times, and it's a huge honor to change out a smoke alarm that has a strobe light, plus it's an alarm. The alarm clock now flashes fire, and it's flashing, that's flashing, and then there's a bed shaker on top of it. So there's lots of resources out there.
So would that cost extra for an sit down?
So it may, depending on what programs, or if the county has resources available as well. If you go to the open market, if you found it and you ordered it through Amazon or something that it has a strobe, then yeah, you're gonna be. But again, that's a huge. Again, we don't want to scare somebody so bad. And the good thing is that tone is coming down, so it's just not so loud, and you can't even think about where do I need. I just want to get away from this sound. So to change that tone to a lower frequency, and it's not so ear piercing and mind numbing, and you can get out. So I don't have the great list. It's a challenge to try to maintain that, but I would start with either, if you have like an occupational therapist or something like that, a doctor. The doctor's office may have some great resources. I don't know what else.
With love to try to put together and connect with all these people to create some sort of odd or resource we can connect with all of them to something
Yep. So
this is the questions I have.
So I have your email. If I run across a web page that has really good stuff on it, I will send it to you. So again, anytime we can get information in one location that you can continue to go to get the most accurate information. Problem is, some of these companies unfortunately go out of business, and trying to maintain them is tough. So any questions on the online chat? Okay. All right. So so the new ones are lower frequency, and they yell fire, which is a benefit, which is concerning at times, but it does help.
It's so ear piercing, you can't even think to know what to do.
Yeah.
That's gonna be like, I want to replace on mine just new and son.
So yeah, that's the benefit. If you get rid of that ear piercing, that old technology, and get something new.
We're opening shift at the group home. I'm the only one who spoke up. But it was about, it was separate, but
Yeah.
none of the guys got up. That's concerning too.
So again, that goes back to practicing with them and making sure they covering that information. So back to your home escape plan. So you design that home escape plan, mark the windows, mark doors, figure out how you're going to get out, know your second way out. Yes. If you're on a first floor or ground floor and you can climb out through the window, there's added problems going through glass windows. So I always recommend going out the bedroom door, and then out through the front door. Know where the other doors are. If there's any tricky things, Like if you have two deadbolt or your deadbolt doesn't have a latch or a thumb latch, and you need a key, so make sure the key stays relatively close to the door, or at least a backup key. Because the last thing you want to do is have to go back through something to go upstairs, get your keys because they're bedside, and so plan ahead on that stuff. So, and then go to your home escape or to your meeting place, make sure everybody's there. If not everybody's there, don't go back in. Let the fire department know when they arrive. Hopefully somebody's called. So if your meeting place is your next door neighbor's house, make sure they're home. If they're going to be gone, you might need to do a temporary meeting place change. Because if the plan is, well, if I don't have my cell phone, how am I going to call 911 to your neighbor's house if they're right next door, if you're not out in the country and they're a mile down the road, that's going to be a delay. So make sure they're present or they're home if that's the plan. So you ring their doorbell multiple times, wake them up, get them to call 911. Or if you have your cell phone, call 911. But having those steps in place and practice that plan. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, when you're half asleep and you don't know what's going on, it can't be a fire. It can be a true event. So make sure you get out. So as it always states, multiple people have told me we need to walk before we run. Because when we run, we make mistakes and we bump into walls and things like that. So it's important to get out as quickly as possible. That smoke is very toxic, so stay low, stay out of the smoke. And we want everybody to go home. Somebody's house, to lose a house in a house fire or apartment or anything you call home, it is the worst thing somebody can go through, and it takes over a year to recover. You deal with the problem for over a year. I don't wish this on anybody. So pay attention, make sure you don't smoke in your house. When you're cooking fires are Minnesota's leading cause of all fires and injuries. So stay in the kitchen, try not to get distracted. Don't answer the phone. Don't answer the door. If it's a salesperson, I guarantee they'll come back. They always come back. So if you're going to do homework with the kids or work on a different project, stay in the kitchen, set reminders that you got food cooking. Deep fat frying, using oil. If you cook that, there's some really delicious foods out there. Have an oven mitt and a cookie sheet off to the side for the purpose. Anytime you're cooking with oil, so if you have your pot of oil or pan of oil on the front burner, if that oil boils over or starts to smoke, it's almost to ignition temperature. If the flame and the heat underneath is enough to get that smoke to turn, because that's unburnt fuel, that's just waiting for an ignition point. Don't use the old theories of baking soda, baking powder, or it's actually baking powder, but I get them confused because humidity in Minnesota, apparently we have a humidity issue in Minnesota, moisture. It clumps together, that clump will fall out and it'll splash the oil and it creates a bigger flame. So what you're going to do is put your oven mitt on, take a deep breath and relax. Because you're going to panic. Trust me, you're going to panic. Put your oven mitt on, take your cookie sheet and you're going to slide. So if this is my pot, I'm going to take my cookie sheet with my oven mitt on and I'm going to slide front to back, push the flames to the back. It's going to be bouncing. This thing is hot. We got oil and we got fire under this. Now I can safely reach across the stove, turn the burner off, leave it, call the fire department because you're going to have smoke in your house. We'll come and get the smoke out, make sure, and then checking to make sure the fire didn't get into the cabinets or underneath the microwave or behind all that. So we'll take care of that. Leave it right there. Don't pick it up. It's going to be hot. You'll burn yourself. Plus, if you spill any, as soon as you take that lid off, the oil will reignite because it's still at temperature. It will reignite. Don't add water to it unless you want it to really go boom, big time. That's a really bad day. You're going to get hurt. So cooking, make sure you stay in the kitchen. Don't use your oven as storage. Don't store papers, boxes. Oh,
Hell, my-
So don't store in your oven. I've seen cardboard boxes. I've seen people store their pans in the cardboard boxes and somebody turn the oven on, not checking. I've seen stuff stored in the broiler underneath, and the heat from the oven was enough to finally draw dry stuff out and have it ignite later. So don't store stuff in your oven. Pots and pans, straight pots and pans, the metal, fine, not an issue. Just don't store combustible products like paper, cardboard, that kind of stuff. Okay. Stay in the kitchen. I can't tell you enough. Stay in the kitchen. It's so easy to be distracted. 5 minutes. I was gone 5 minutes. No, it was 20 minutes. And now look at your damage. So, all right. Work again, back to smoke alarms real quick. 10 years, they need to be replaced every 10 years. My parents built a house in 1979, and that smoke alarm was still in place until 1999. So one of those things, you should replace them every 10 years. Carbon monoxide, CO, it's not CO2. CO2 is a different product that's in your pop, makes it bubble. Okay, so CO, carbon monoxide, the replacement is 7 years on those alarms. So that's everything there. I kind of went over it and I apologize, but if you have questions, talk to your local fire department. They will definitely be more than happy to help you out. But I want to talk about Community Connect. Is that up there? No. Do I have to reshare? I might have to reshare. Oh,
Scary.
We're seeing everything on the screen.
okay, hold on. I need to do this.
They have it on.
Yes. New share. There we go. I want to,
Because you're hearing, her,
okay. Nope, that didn't click.
there we go.
Did it click? Good. Okay, so this is Community Connect. So I have some flyers. You can take as many for the ones that are in person. You can take these with you if it's multiple group homes that you cover or the organization covers. You can take as many as you want. I have an entire stack. For those that are online or watching this after, I hope some of this information is great. This is for Rochester residents only. Again, the program only helps the Rochester Fire Department. Check with your local fire department if they have this program. It's based on our response plan that we use. So what you see up here right now is Fire Station 4 out on 41st Street. And so when you go to Community Connect, you build the program. You build it. So you take possession of that property. And every year the system will ask, is this still correct? And if you don't respond, the stuff goes dormant and we don't see it anymore. So if there is a change, that's a good reminder once a year to log in and do any changes. So this is Station 4. This looks a little different. I don't want to run through all of it. It's very easy to follow the instructions though. But when we get a response, when we get a call, we will get an alert on this property and we go to the dashboard. And so this information will pop up right on our computers in the trucks when we respond. So I see City of Rochester Fire Station 4, 1875 41st Street. This could be anybody's house that's logged into the system. So when I go to dashboard, I see pre-plan. So we know this building, this is our pre-plan. So somebody from the fire department has walked through this building and put in a laundry room. We were practicing is what it comes down to. But when we have a Community Connect, this means somebody has claimed this property and they've added information. So if you had a special gate access, you have a fenced in yard or something like that, the gate code is this. We only see this when we respond to the call. We don't respond. We won't see this information.
You can even put your garage code in.
Yep, and
security of system.
right. And once a year, if
No one can access but you guys.
correct. And we can only see it when we get a call. So it's not like we can go, oh, there's 900 people. Let's see who's got a garage code.
I was curious because, so, as you know, many autism families, we chain our doors because our kids can't get out.
Right.
Now, right now, my family, my parents, my sisters, my nanny, they use the garage door number because you can go in.
Yep.
You know, there's nothing
And the chain's not gonna stop us.
that, well, I know. You don't break my door, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but I can share that.
Yes, yes, you can share that garage door or if there's another door that has a digital code. A deadbolt that we can hit that and then go through that door. Okay, yes,
65th Street.
yep.
Would it cover that too, being out in the country?
If it's in our response area, yes. So you can log in and see if it will let you add that information. So do you know if we cover your area or if Dover, Yoda? Okay,
I live 2 miles on Highway 63.
yep, you're gonna be in our area, so you can, yep. So the question, her location is possibly outside the city limits. Well, it's outside the city limits, but our response district continued. So anyhow, so Community Connect. So this is park in the front of the building and use the front sidewalk. Again, we were just messing around with this a little bit. Okay, so here, so you have a wealth between access or medical conditions or whatever. So here we have special needs. So this is our deputy chief prior when we went on to this. So special needs, she claimed she's hard of hearing. Okay, so we're just seeing how it looks on this. So you can add as much information on this and wandering or what have you, pets. So we got a yellow lab named Billy, and lives in the dining room, whatever. So you can include all this stuff. We can include contact information. So that's the boss's office number. So again, if you're going to be out of town and we go to a call, we can look, we'll see this and go, oh, let's call this number and see if we get the owner. Again, if you sell your property, you'll get an email every year after you log in. As a reminder, is this information accurate? Yes. Or if you don't respond, it goes dormant and it disappears and we don't pay attention. Or we won't see it.
I set it up, then I made some changes 6 months from now because I had an individual move out of home or something, then it would it?
I don't know if it'd be the year from the update or if it'd be the year. So the question was if in 6 months we did an update, if it would be a year from the initial startup or the year from that 6 months. So that's something you can play with and ask questions to Community Connect. Yep.
So my mother-in-law is not computer savvy, but own it or have a computer. Is this something I can set up for them or do they have to do it? Come in and do it?
So the question is, a mom, an older mom doesn't have access to a computer or not tech savvy. Kids can set that information up for them. Anybody can claim a property. There's some hoops you have to jump through to get there, but yeah, you can type in her information, contact, or let us know limited mobility. If they're not outside at this meeting place, go in, you'll find them in this spot or this spot. That would help us a lot. So Community Connect, this is what's going to help us out a lot. So I appreciate everybody's time. I went over a little bit. I apologize for the next speaker. But Community Connect, we have a couple open houses coming up for Fire Prevention Week, the week of October 9th. So if you're in Rochester, come to any of our stations, all 5 stations, Tuesday evening and Wednesday evening and Saturday morning. We'll have some Community Connect information, or if you have questions, hey, I heard about this Community Connect thing. We'll try to answer the questions. I'm sorry.
When did you start that?
About a year ago. So yeah, we have some, the chief does a really good video online. So if you do Rochester Fire Community Connect, the chief will walk you through how easy it is. It's great. So